quick
Yeah.
question before we start. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Fuck yes, we're on this
Okay, cool,
podcast.
cool,
I'm
cool,
leaving
cool.
this. I'm leaving that part in because, heck
Oh,
yeah.
cool, cool, cool. All right. Because I was like, I don't know if I can do this if I can't, if I can't swear on this podcast. I was like, I don't know if I can censor my language for 25 minutes. Like, I don't think that could happen.
We. I think I've said a lot worse on this podcast than I have in real life.
Okay,
I
tight. Great.
Yeah. I think I've made two porn jokes in the last episode. So
Love to see it. Love to
we we love porn jokes at 10 in the morning. Uh,
hear it.
I don't know. So how have you holding up?
Oh, good, fine, as much as I can possibly. I've been in quarantine since the 16th of March, so quite a long time.
Yeah.
And it's all by choice. None of us are sick. None of us have gotten sick, thankfully, which is
Mhm.
awesome. But starting to lose my mind a little bit. Starting to bits are becoming longer and longer and just like less coherent now. So like I'll start a bit and then I have to end it with saying something along the lines of like live from New York. It's Saturday night. Otherwise, it'll just keep going for hours. It's terrible. Truly a terrible, terrible place to be is this apartment right now. I swear. um,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, but we're hanging in there. We're doing it.
Is has cabin fever really begun yet for you, or not yet?
I wouldn't. I mean, like I'm a homebody to be fully honest. So
Mhm.
when they were like, "Oh, you have to stay inside," I was like, "Oh no, I have
Best
to
vacation
stay
ever.
inside and watch television and not talk to people. Oh my God, how am I gonna survive?" But so no, I've been keeping myself busy and like you know painting and doing silly projects that
Mhm.
needed to get done months ago, but now we finally have the time to do it. So we're okay. We're not.
We're
It hasn't hit
thriving
us
and
quite yet.
surviving, you know?
Thriving and
Yeah.
surviving. Absolutely, absolutely.
So as we're looking forward, it looks like there's no turning back now. It looks like we're going to start opening things up.
Mhm.
And do you have any trepidation, or are you just ready for it all to begin?
So I'm it's tricky because like of course I want things to open up. Of course, like I would love to be able to like sit in a coffee shop with my friends and like hang out and do things. But um it's not about that. It's about people's lives. And unfortunately, like I just hope that we're doing it safely because I know a lot of other states have not done it safely and they're seeing repercussions, and I would just really hate to for that to happen because I know that there's going to be a second wave. So I'm just a little bit trepidatious about the whole thing, and I'll probably go out, but I'll probably wait 2 weeks and 2 days after everyone else goes out before I start
Mhm.
going out, just because I don't want to get sick and I don't want to get anyone else sick. And I would feel really terrible if I brought that into my apartment and got my roommate sick or anything like that. And it's just not worth it to me. The Disneyland in Shanghai opened up, so
Yeah.
who knows? Look, I don't know.
No one knows, and that's the damn problem.
That's the craziest part is like just the uncertainty in everything and absolutely everything.
Mhm.
It's crazy. It's like I don't know what is right and what is wrong and like what to tell my family members and what not to tell them. And like my brother recently called me to ask for girl advice, which is hilarious because he's much older than I am. And he was like, "Yeah, this girl, like I really like her, but she's like afraid to break quarantine and I don't understand." And I was like, yeah, we should all be afraid to break quarantine. But like
It's a
I think
great question.
it was more than that because he's
Mhm.
been very safe and like hasn't left his house, and he's a germaphobe, so he's a little bit neurotic. But he's like, I don't want her to think that like I'm trying to get her sick when I know I'm not sick. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if
Mhm.
you're sick or not. It's the whole thing. It's the thing of it of like we don't know, so might as well not try, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
We'll see. Who
We'll
knows?
see. Did you tell him to like air five her at the end of it instead of like actually holding hands?
Well, okay, so like the whole thing. So they live in LA, like they're
Oh, okay.
LA folk. So that already puts them in a position that's different than the one that I live.
Yeah.
And they had been going on a couple of dates before the quarantine happened, and her sister and mom are all quarantining together. and they keep bringing their boyfriends over, and whenever they bring their boyfriends over, she leaves and goes to like her apartment, because she just doesn't want to be around it. And I think that also it could also be like, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say that like I don't want to be around them and their boyfriends, but I'm going to hang out with you, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many factors. So many
And
factors.
so many factors. There's a pandemic
There's
going
a pandemic. Lest we forget that there is a global pandemic going on. Like, I know there's so many other things that happened, like the aliens, that whole thing, which scared I'm gonna be fully frank and honest.
Go for it.
My greatest fear in life is being abducted by aliens. Full-fledged greatest fear in life, like, because I know it's gonna be me, you know what I mean? Like, out of all my friends and family, like, I know that it's me. Like,
Why do you think it's you?
because I'm the most scared of it, because like they know that I know, and they know that I'm aware, and that I would comply, because I'm too fucking scared. I don't want their long thingies in my space. I don't want to be tested. I don't want to be dissected. Like,
You're being dissected right now on this podcast.
I mean, if someone is dissecting me and they are of psychological help, please just give me a call. No, I'm just kidding. Because clearly I need it. My greatest fear in life is being abducted by aliens.
We need a sponsor, so
yes, please. The government sponsor this podcast. We know you have aliens, and I know I'm going to be the next one to be abducted.
Maybe, are you listening?
You know they are.
Yeah. I listen to Joe Rogan, his podcast, and they talk a lot about UFOs and alien sightings, and it's funny to listen to as a non-believer. You know, I want to believe, as they say.
Oh, it's not that I don't know what like got me to believe in aliens. I think it's like I take a lot of people's experience as face value. I guess I just trust people in their experiences when they say like, I had this really weird experience with a UFO. I'm like, yes, tell me about it, because that happened. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like anyone could tell me anything. I'd be like, oh yeah. So
I was a big believer in ghosts when the show Ghost Adventures was around. Do you remember Ghost Adventures?
Oh, I used to watch that weekly with my grandmother. Yes, I was a big Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures,
so good. My favorite part was when the show was over. It was like 9-10 o'clock on a Friday night, and my parents went to sleep, and it's just me on the first floor in the basement. And I like opened the basement door. I know you're there. Just leave me alone. And my parents would be like, what the hell is he talking about? Who is he talking to?
I know you're there. Show yourself.
I would leave like a camera in the basement, like by a door, to see if it moves. Oh my God. No wonder I didn't have any friends.
I mean, that being said, I do believe in ghosts. I've seen way too much shit to not suspect that there are ghosts around.
Sure.
I'm also like a spiritual human being, and I think that it's like, and again with the aliens, like I just feel like it's not just us. Like there's no way. We're too small. That's too selfish of us to think that it's only human beings in the world, in the universe, living in this plane and this existence. Like, I mean, unless we're all in a simulation, and then who knows?
Well, speaking of human beings in the same place on the same plane, you have a show that's streaming live right now.
Yes.
I am going to die alone, and I am not afraid.
Yeah.
Watched it last night. It was
it
was fantastic.
Oh my God! Wow, I didn't think anyone was gonna watch it. That's so cool.
So my question is like, first of all, do you watch your own performance, and does it change how you feel, especially during these difficult times?
So I watched that performance because, which is I normally am not. Unless it's like stage combat where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do a really cool sword trick. I don't really watch performances. It freaks me out. I don't like the way I ever deliver lines. I'm always like, that was fake. I just call myself out, and I'm really harsh on myself. But this I was really excited to see because I've never seen it before. Yeah. I've always been either devising it or in it, or like being an outside eye, but not really. So I was really excited to see the whole thing as like a unit and as an experience. And I was really, really proud of it. Like it was, as soon as it started, I was like, oh, it was this show. And there were like moments where I was like, oh no, this is going to happen. And I did this and that happened. That was whack. But I was really proud of like what we did and what we created. And like, even the the parts that were like messy and weird, then like weird stuff happened for the first time ever and then never happened again, because we were recording, I swear. It was really cool. It was really
Mhm.
cool to see. I'm very proud of us and them
Yeah, you
as
should
a
be.
whole.
So yeah, describe this performance a lot. So it's a cast of 6, and it's a
Yeah.
devising piece about the Holocaust, correct?
Yes, correct. So the director of this piece, Anna Gelman, she um, fell in like not fell in love, but was very infatuated with the story of Francesca Mann, who was a Polish ballerina, which is the last story we kind of tell and
Mhm.
touch on, who was marched into the death camps, being told that she was being taken to Switzerland, being told that she was going to be taken to freedom. They were taking a pit stop. They all had to get off the train to like sanitize, and then they were going to get back on the train and go to freedom. And she realized that she was going to die when they told her to start undressing. And so what she did was she ended up stabbing a Nazi with her heel, wrestling a gun out of his hand and shooting him, which is like crazy. And like
Yeah.
unfortunately he ended up surviving and she did end up dying, but Anna was really inspired by acts of resistance throughout the Holocaust, because you don't really hear about that. You hear about the death and dying and suffering, and of course, yes, that is the Holocaust, but there are also really beautiful stories of people risking their own lives to save others and do really crazy, cool, beautiful things. And unfortunately, a lot of them end up dying, but some of them do survive. And the process was super crazy too, because we all just brought in like really crazy stories of like women joining the communist regime in Berlin and then killing a bunch of Nazis and becoming sniper assassins, like just crazy stories that we've never heard of before.
Mhm.
And so super important for us to not just be a Holocaust play and not just be Anne Frank and not just be sad. It was really important for us to show acts of resistance and us fighting. And also we wanted to include things like propaganda and the way that this information is spread, because unfortunately, like, there are a lot of similarities as to what was happening then and what's happening now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just a really crazy cool piece to work on, because like not all of us were Jewish. I'm a Jewish person, but not all of us were Jewish, but all of us came from a point of like of having seen and dealt with just oppression of some sort, and it was
Mhm.
just a really crazy experience that was really cool and one of my favorite pieces I've ever worked on. And I'm so happy that that like fell into my path. I was
Yeah.
like, what a cool thing.
You have a
Yeah.
great like solo number by yourself. And for people who haven't like seen it, you have to watch it just for that 3-minute solo dancing act alone. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I had like the weirdest smile. I'm like, I shouldn't be smiling at like what's going on, but like it's so good to watch.
Right. So, I mean, I can ruin it because I feel like that's a good point for people to be like, oh, that's gonna be in there. Great, cool.
Go for it.
So I do a whole number, tap dance number in a pair of heeled tap shoes as Hitler.
Hmm.
And it's all satire, it's all fun, it's all meme, and it's to Judy Garland's version of I Don't Care.
Yeah.
And it is silly. I created that by myself, choreographed the whole thing, and like created that concept because we wanted to talk about art as an act of resistance.
Hmm.
And like nothing would come to my mind except for to do a tap number, and that was the only thing I brought in. We were supposed to like bring in either like a piece of writing or like some devised movements or something, and the only thing I could think of to do was bring in a tap number when I heard art as resistance. So that's what I did, and we have a whole like vaudeville like piece that goes throughout the whole show. And also the show's only an hour, so just watch it.
Yeah.
It's
Come on,
only
guys.
it's an hour. Just watch it. It's not that long.
No. And like you do perform as Hitler a few times, and
Hmm.
like and this is credit to you in the show, but like the more you do it, the less funny it becomes on purpose because it's getting even darker. I think like
Yeah.
yeah, like ooh, it's a hard one. Um,
It's yeah, it was really crazy. And like when we found the moments where I could be like very much like that person, oh, like you know, as dark as he was, or not quite there, but you know, when we found that moment, it was like really scary and spooky energy in the room, and we were like, and now we're gonna go on a break and we're gonna listen to some Sufjan Stevens and calm down.
What do you miss most right now when you watch that again? Do you miss the process or the performancing?
Oh, you know, I miss the people. I miss that cast and crew so, so much. Like that was that was a true ensemble. That was the first time that I was in a true ensemble where everyone was on the same page and everyone had wanted the same thing and we all were like there.
Mhm.
And I had, like, in the short 3-month process, I grew so close to those people, and I know that we'll always be connected through that. And also, like, we are talking about, before the quarantine, we did talk about a future for this show and
Mhm.
what a future would look like, maybe doing it again, maybe in a different space, maybe in an educational setting,
Mhm.
you know. And so we talked about a future for the show, and I'm really excited to see if that, I think it will happen. So when that happens, I'm really excited about it. So get your money ready. We're gonna be doing something, I'm sure. But for right now, go stream it for free on the proptheater.com. It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Do you watch a lot more theater now during this pandemic?
I'm so terrible. No, I'm so bad. I'm like, everyone stream my stuff. So accessible, so free. And then I don't go and watch anything else. But to be fair, I like am trying really hard not to just like sit in bed and watch TV and like watch stuff. Of course,
Mhm.
I did binge a couple of shows, but I am trying really hard not to do that. I'm trying to
Mhm.
fight that urge.
Mhm.
But I watched Annie with my roommates, if that counts.
Wait, the original or the remake?
The original.
Okay, good, good, good. I haven't seen the remake, and I heard it was
No,
terrible.
no. We had to see Kathy Bates.
Oh, you always see things for Kathy Bates. Even the things she's not in, you have to see for Kathy Bates.
Literally, we almost sat through the entire Titanic just to watch the scene with Kathy Bates. I swear to God. It was after RuPaul's Drag Race a couple of weeks ago. They aired all of Titanic, and we played this drinking game, and we got a little bit twisty, and we were like, should we watch all of Titanic just for the scene with Kathy Bates? Should we do it?
Fuck yeah.
We did not, but
Uh,
it was a meme throughout the rest of the night.
Kathy, if you're listening, we're a big fan of your work in Titanic.
Kathy Bates, if you're listening, I'm an extremely big fan of you, and specifically your one line in Roanoke where you say, consecrate this land with blood, in a very weird accent. I'm not sure what that accent is, but I love you, and I love that line too
It was
much.
it was just a choice. It was a choice.
Blood? What? What accent is that, Kathy?
I don't know. She has you know what? She's an Oscar. What does she know? What do we know?
What do we know? Oh, gosh, Kathy
That's
Bates.
funny. Kathy
Wow.
Bates. So Zoe, do you remember how we met many moons ago?
Oh no. No. Sorry.
We did a show where I think you played my son.
Yes, I
Uh,
sure. Well, son, your uncle, or you were my
Uncle.
uncle.
There's too many things happening.
Too many things.
Yeah, there was too many things happening. We did Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. You were the lovely Hamlet, and I was the tedious Claudius.
That was.
I forgot his name for a hot second.
It's okay. That was like a fever dream. That show is just like it's just a fever dream. I
It's
loved
a.
it.
I
It
had
was
a great. I
silly.
had a great time. I loved being a pirate. I think that was the highlight.
I think for me too, I loved that fight scene. I
Yeah.
loved just thrusting two the entire time and then maybe parrying five. It was so, jumping into that barrel every night. I was like, yes, done. Period. Done.
I think like because I was in the green room when that was happening. I think every time you went in the barrel, I just heard the yes happening the entire time. Did I
My
tell you the best comment I got was after opening night? I see my one friend and his girlfriend, and he goes, "Matt, loved the beard," and then he walked away. I was like, "Oh, Okay.
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
so I was good.
I was good, thank you.
I think I was
Yeah,
good as I'm stroking my beard.
I've gotten a couple of like comments like that in my life, like post shows. Like I was in Bug
Mm.
and I played a character that got stabbed really brutally and I had blood all over me. And my friend after the show said, all she said was, "You look so hot covered in fake blood." That was it. She then walked away. I was like, "Oh, uh, cool. Thanks. Thank, thank you."
You liked it?
It was good. You thought you liked?
Don't you love those friends who are probably are not theater goers? So they just don't know how to respond. So they're like, I like when you did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My favorite is like my dad knows it's called rehearsal. My dad
Yeah.
knows it's called rehearsal. I've been going to rehearsals since I was a little child. My dad
Mhm.
knows it's called rehearsals, and he still calls it play practice. And that shit pisses me off. I don't know why, but that shit pisses me off. Sorry, dad, but it's rehearsal,
Mhm.
not play practice.
Did you like so when we did Rosencrantz, we had like a actual professional rehearsal schedule, which was like a 6 hour rehearsal during the day as opposed to like that 5 hour rehearsal at night. Did you have a preference over that one or which?
Um, so I I don't mind being in rehearsal. I love being in rehearsal. I do. I love being with castmates and I love working, but unfortunately, there were just times where I was called to rehearsals that I was only needed for like 10 minutes maximum and then would have to commute back to my apartment 45 minutes away and would
Mhm.
it would just like be very frustrating and like like I do know that that's part of it, but there were just some times where I was like, "Oh, I'm working out because that's what I was assigned to do by my director was to go and do ab work." Remember when we had to go do ab work for 2 hours? We had to go
And
and do ab work for 2 hours. Like,
I always ask myself, what was the point of it?
you know, I we no one's abs were out in that
No.
show.
I mean, the ensemble, they worked their tails off, and I think they had to be in
Yeah.
a good shape. Like, uh, my whole demeanor was stand tall, hands behind my back.
Yeah, mine was like dick forward, walk with a sword. Like that was it. That was my Hamlet was dick forward, walk with a sword. I'm better than you. Like,
Yeah, it was very intense. Do you remember when we had to try to like balance on top of our heads a couple times?
oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, there was once a rehearsal that it was just me and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern called to because we were just doing like act 3 and
Yeah.
like I was once again a rehearsal was needed for 10 minutes. But we were doing yoga as we were one to do before every rehearsal and she made all of us do like forearm stands and headstands and would time us and like made us hold it for like 2 minutes at a time. I was like, what? What is this? In what world? But like that first week was kind of crazy. That
Mhm,
first week, I was like, this is a crazy ass show. We're about to
mhm.
do something wild
Yeah.
because it was like 6 hours of just like really intense, like Suzuki ish training. And I was
Yeah.
like, what is this? And I was super into it at first. And then I quickly fell off and I was like, my body hurts and I'm tired. Can I read the script now?
Script. I swear I know my characters. Let me memorize the damn lines, please.
That was the most I think that was like the least prepared on lines I've like anyone has ever been is like that show. I feel like none of us were none of us really knew what we were doing, unfortunately. I
I
can't
took a
believe that
gamble.
happened.
I took a gamble. Uh, I'm not sure if it worked or not. I think I will say when I got the part, I was very stunned at the fact that they casted me of all people. And I, because
Really?
yeah, well, I like this is such a old school and like high school thing, which is I pre-cast when I see like a callback list. I mean, do you do that?
Yeah, I mean everyone does.
So like I'm seeing like who's callback, and I was called back for two parts, and I'm looking at like who I'm called back for, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, well, this person's better. This person's been cast in more. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just here for a good time. And so I would just say the
Here
lines
for
and
a
like,
good
well,
time, not a long time.
I had a great time. Except we ended it callbacks early too. That was the best part. You remember that?
I don't. Well, I
You're
didn't go to the
right, because
five because
you were in Bug.
I was in Bug. So all of us auditioned and did callbacks like just one on one, which was
Um,
a time.
yeah, we were when we did it. Besides it being two parts of callbacks, the second callback was literally just us waiting, and then like 9:30, she called whoever the director called whoever was in the room left into the room. They said, "Guys, I'm very tired, and I think we should end it here." I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh, okay, great."
all right, great,
And so I'm
sick.
walking home. I'm like, "Well, this was fun. Oh, let's see what else." And I'm like back in my Google. I'm like, "All right, what else can I do? What else can I do?"
What else
And then
can I do?
and then the next day I get this like email, I'm like, "You're in." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. You had the wrong person.
No,
This is not right."
I think you are mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was. I was not expecting to be cast as Hamlet. That was not what I thought that I would do, but I was happy about it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
I had a great time. I didn't really know who I wanted to be in that show. I think the players like in my mind who I was like that's who you want to be.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that that she was like no 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 no. You're going to play Hamlet and you're going to be really good at it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Oh, cool." Cuz like that's just like not something I well, first off, I was like, they're gonna cast a cis boy as Hamlet, like
Yeah.
when I first thought it was happening. But I was like, that's just like I never see myself as those kinds of characters. I always see myself as like, oh, the gymnast athlete like can do a cartwheel and do fun tricks and like
Yeah.
is silly and so I was floored, but it was fun. I loved it. I had
Mhm.
a great time.
Yeah, and it's funny when I got the King, I thought like, oh, this is gonna be like very Martin Sheen, West Wing.
Uh-huh.
That's who I usually get casted as, and then they're
Mhm.
like, oh no no no, you're playing the villain. I'm like, no,
No.
me. As I'm like tying my tie and putting my cardigan on, I'm like, this isn't right.
This is right. No, I'm Mr. Rogers. I
Yeah,
don't
no no
know.
no, I'm not evil.
See, and I feel like I always well, that's not true. I feel like I'm always cast as like villain, evil.
Well,
Can I
because
even
you're a badass, so
oh, thank you. I try. If there is one thing I would love to be in this world, it is a badass, you
mm,
know?
yeah.
So thank you.
No problem. So looking forward, here we are again. Like I said, we're about to open up. What do you, in your eyes, where do you want where do you want Illinois to go from? Where do you want the country to go from here?
Oh, I just think that there's a lot that is boiling right now. I think there's a lot happening. And I think that we're going through a huge shift, both like energy wise as well as like government wise and the way that things are going. And I just really hope that we can start being like a collective human race in America, which is like very difficult because we're so like individualist. And I'm trying not to get super political on here,
Yeah, whatever you want.
but it's just really hard to, you know, sit here and see that Doctors Without Borders is dispatched to the United States for the first time ever
Mhm.
in its existence because we can't do anything for the Navajo Nation. And it's really sad and heartbreaking to see that, like, my family in Puerto Rico don't get stimulus checks because they're Puerto Rican. So, you know, I would just say justice would be something really cool to see upon opening back up, reformations of certain laws and certain things. But also, I just like to see people being kind to one another and realizing that this isn't all about them. It's not just you like being pissy because you have to wear a mask. You're wearing a mask because I could be immunosuppressant. Somebody else could be immunosuppressant. You don't know. You don't know what you have. You don't know what they have. And like, I just hope that after this, like, we take some of this into our own practice. And if we're sick in everyday life post corona, we start wearing masks in public and we start, you know, taking sick days and being able to do those things because
Mhm.
this is not it. What this has shown to like I had already known, but what this is showing is that you know, there are some deep flaws in us in the US and in the system, and it needs to be fixed. And this is just showing the people that aren't as invested in like politics and readings and social whatever. It's taking the blindfold off for the first time. And also, here's I'll leave you with this.
Yeah.
If you are upset about wearing a mask in public and you saw the movie Bird Box, rewatch that goddamn movie, because it's the same fucking principle. You're like, oh, they're so dumb for not fucking wearing the blindfold. Wear the mask. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I rewatched that movie and I was like, oh, interesting. Huh. Crazy. Wild.
I've never seen it. I've seen clips and it looks like a great time with alcohol.
Yeah, yes. Agreed. Sandra Bullock's actually pretty good in it. I will say, Sandra Bullock. Really,
I like Sandra.
She was like, you know what? I really got to act in this one, and she did it. She did the damn thing. I highly suggest that. Apparently, the book is better, and you should read the book before you watch the movie. But I'm illiterate, so I don't know.
I might see for Sandra and also for Malkovich, but that's
True.
just because anything with John Malkovich is gold.
True, we do stand.
We do stand with John. Chicagoan, I believe. Shout out John.
Shout out John. Shout out Steppenwolf.
Yeah, right. So Zoe, before we go, we have some time for a game. You ready for a game?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. A game at 10:30 in the morning. Absolutely, sure.
This is a game called Time for Two. There's 2 minutes on the clock, and it's just a series of random icebreaker questions. There is no right. There is no wrong. You're going to be great. I can tell you're nervous.
Okay. I'm just worried of what's going to come out of my mouth.
Oh, same here.
Worried about my reputation, not about this.
It'll be great. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. What part of the human face is your favorite?
The eyes.
Would you rather live in a zoo or a roller coaster park?
A zoo. No, a roller coaster park. I hate zoos. I don't know why you said that.
What's the best way to spend a rainy afternoon?
Smoking weed. I'm sorry, Mom.
Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
No. Why? I don't understand the question. I don't know.
What movie would be greatly improved if it was made into a musical?
Oh, that already happened. I was gonna say Heathers, but that already happened.
Yeah.
God, what's another favorite? Oh God, so many of my favorite movies are also musicals. Casablanca. I don't know. Casablanca would be great.
Yeah. Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Oh, I was actually in a show called a really whack show called What I Would Do for a Klondike Bar, and I ended up robbing someone and stealing a car for a Klondike bar in that show. So I guess that.
There you go. Is the floor lava?
Always.
Fruit salad or hot potato?
Fruit salad.
There you go. Is your refrigerator running?
Yeah, and I probably should go get it. Right?
Ron Burgundy or Ron Swanson?
Ooh, Ron Swanson.
Do you know how to tie a bow tie?
No.
Do you wash your hands after going to the bathroom every time?
Every single time. I work in a restaurant. I'm very scared about that shit. I see gross things all the time. Yes.
15 seconds. Uncle Joey or Uncle Jesse?
Uncle Jesse.
Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Ted Danson. Thoughts?
Love Ted Danson. Big Ted Danson stan. We love Cheers.
There we go. And that's how we always end it. A shout out to Ted Danson.
And we love shout out to Ted. You know what, Ted Danson, if you end up listening to this, I just want to tell you that I love you in Cheers. I love you in The Good Place. I love you in everything. You're always so good, and your face is the same over the years, and it's wild.
He's an age, except his hair ages, but his face doesn't.
But that's hot, you know. It's like
that is hot.
Steve Carell aging like fine wine. It's like just his hair plugs, you know.
He's
How does
a
he
silver
get his hair
fox.
plugs to do that?
Jeans, I don't know. But I'm talking about like the Old Navy jeans, not his actual family jeans.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Zoe, I can't imagine another person I want to talk to right now during the pandemic. So
Oh,
thank you for taking some time and coming on the show.
oh
I
yes,
always
of course.
appreciate it. Hey everyone, thanks again for listening to this episode of You Have a Minute, a daily isolated podcast. My thanks to Zoe Savransky for coming on the show and taking some time to talk with me. She's a badass. I said it when I talked to her, and I'm saying it again. What a badass. She's so cool, and she did combat when we were in school together, and so talented. And if you want to see her perform, like I said, go to proptheater.org, and you're going to find on the homepage their last show that she was in called I Am Going to Die Alone and I Am Not Afraid. Like we said, it's an hour. We have plenty of time to watch a show and watch some live theater. So go do that. Wash your hands, wear a mask, let's flatten this curve, baby. And I will see you guys on Friday.